Michael，OK，你们刚好遇上，这个会带回交流的一种互动的一种情景。但它里面并不是这个汉中里，他在听那个收音机哦。你看还有高尔夫球棒哦，比较文体比较适合画作，包括西北红，但是好像内地的。韩非子10个篇里面转换过来的，他眼睛张开，这两个就闭着，所以他们轮王母。当时我画这张西王母拜西王母的，因为我开放拍照，所以这就主要是要让观众去拍，把这个自己去寻找形式。
Welcome to the deep dive. We're so glad you're here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Because we are going on a journey that's going to, well, it's going to completely change how you view ancient legends.
Definitely.
Our mission for this deep dive is to explore the truly fascinating, often bizarre, and incredibly fluid nature of ancient Chinese mythology.
It's a really wild topic.
It really is. And the source material we have for you today is just, it's nothing short of spectacular. We're looking at a translated transcript from a massive exhibition by the Taiwanese artist Wei Tao.
Right. And to really set the stage for you, Wei Tao wasn't just casually sketching out a few well-known myths.
No, not at all.
He spent an immense amount of time and energy creating a monumental 365-piece collection. He calls it Wei Tao's Ancient Mythical World.
Wow. 365 pieces.
Yeah, it's a career-defining level of dedication to really unpacking the origins of these stories.
And the technical execution alone is just staggering. I mean, he draws these pieces primarily in black and white using dip pens, ink, and Kent paper.
Which is incredibly unforgiving.
Exactly. For those who might not be familiar with it, Kent paper is this ultra-smooth, heavy-duty paper usually used for drafting.
Mm-hmm.
It holds crisp ink lines beautifully without bleeding, but it offers zero forgiveness. Like, you make a mistake with a dip pen on Kent paper, and that is it.
Yeah, you're done.
There is no undo button. And some of these incredibly intricate, massive pieces took him up to 6 months to complete.
6 months for a single piece.
Right. He is essentially breathing life back into these ancient texts, line by line, stroke by stroke.
It's a phenomenal physical and artistic feat. But what makes this transcript so compelling, though, is how he actually interprets the mythology itself.
Yes.
He treats these stories not as, dusty relics trapped in amber, but as a continuously shifting narrative. He's showing us how these legends were always malleable.
Always adapting to the people telling them.
Exactly.
Well, we have some truly mind-bending facts coming up for you today. We're going to explore how a legendary, terrifying god of war is actually something you'd find at the zoo chewing on bamboo.
That one blew my mind.
Same. And we'll also see how ancient, omnipotent gods are apparently dealing with very modern problems like cell phone addictions and annoying political pundits on television.
It's great.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's start with the monsters.
Yeah, the magical creatures.
Because the way humanity alters these specific figures over time reveals so much about our own collective psychology.
It really does. I was looking at the notes on the Pixiu, which is a creature many people might actually recognize today.
Right, the little statues.
Yeah, if you walk into a business or a bank, you'll often see a statue of a Pixiu. It's widely known as a highly auspicious symbol, a mythical beast that brings wealth and protects your financial luck.
But the exhibition notes point out something totally different.
Completely different. In ancient upper mythology, those earliest, most primal cosmological myths, the Pixiu was not a cuddly good luck charm. It was known as the first god of war.
A creature of pure destruction.
Right. It was fiercely aggressive. And when I saw the artist's note on what its real-world prototype actually was, I genuinely had to read it twice. Please tell me I'm not hallucinating this.
You aren't. The real-world prototype for this terrifying, ancient god of war it's the giant panda.
A panda.
Yes.
The animal that literally rolls down hills and falls out of trees.
That's the one. What's fascinating here is how humanity tames terrifying concepts over time.
How so?
Well, we look at pandas today and we see these slow, adorable herbivores. But if you think about an ancient person encountering a giant bear in the wild thousands of years ago,
Oh, true.
even one that predominantly eats bamboo, that is still a massive, dangerous territorial creature.
Yeah, it's still a bear.
Exactly. It makes perfect sense that early myth makers, living completely at the mercy of the untamed wilderness, would elevate this powerful animal to a vicious war god.
So they were basically projecting their fear of the wild onto the animal.
Precisely. But as centuries pass and civilization develops, our relationship with nature totally changes. We start building cities. We conquer the wilderness.
We're not as scared of the woods anymore.
Right. We no longer need the Pixiu to be a terrifying protector on a bloody battlefield. What we need protection for in a more advanced society is our commerce.
Oh, wow.
We need it to protect our bank accounts. So society collectively sands down the rough edges of the myth. We turn a vicious war god into a symbol of financial prosperity.
It's literally mythology adapting to human needs in real time.
It is.
And that adaptability shows up everywhere in this artwork. Take the bee now, or the one-winged bird.
Oh, that's a beautiful one.
It really is. This creature originates from the Classic of Mountains and Seas, which is essentially this ancient encyclopedia of mythical geography and beasts. And the anatomical description of this bird is just so strange.
It's very weird.
It has only one eye, one wing, and one leg. By itself, it is completely grounded. It can't function. To actually take flight, two of these birds have to find each other and merge together physically to form a complete creature.
And that bizarre, almost unsettling biological description evolved into something incredibly beautiful over time.
Yeah.
It became the origin of a very famous idiom in Chinese culture, representing deep, true love.
Two incomplete halves finding each other to take flight together.
Exactly. It's a brilliant example of how ancient people used fantastical biology to explain very real, complex human emotions.
Sometimes, though, these profound myths don't come from deep human truths at all. Sometimes they come from a literal typo.
This is my favorite part.
This has to be my favorite revelation from the whole transcript, too. We have the famous myth of the moon toad, or Shantu. For centuries, there's been this massive mythology built up around a toad living on the moon.
Right.
But according to the research presented here, this entire legend stems from a historical accident.
It's an amazing linguistic journey. Because in the ancient texts, specifically in the 18th question of Kuo Yuan's classic text, Tian Wen,
which translates to heavenly questions. Right?
Yeah, heavenly question. It's this massive poem from the 4th century BC made entirely of riddles about the cosmos. Anyway, there was a specific character used when discussing the moon.
Okay.
And because these texts were written on bamboo slips and copied by hand over generations, later scholars reading the text misinterpreted a character.
An ancient typo. A scholar centuries later misread the calligraphy and thought the text was referring to a toad.
Yes.
And boom, an entire mythology about a toad living on the moon is born, purely because someone essentially misread the ancient equivalent of a text message.
It highlights a profound, often overlooked truth about history. Human error literally creates mythology.
That's wild.
We tend to view ancient myths as these sacred, unchangeable truths, handed down from on high, carved in stone. But they were transcribed by human beings.
Who make mistakes.
Human beings who get tired, who misread handwriting, or who use an archaic phonetic placeholder that gets totally misinterpreted 100 years later. The myths are essentially a multi-millennia game of historical telephone.
And we see that humanization applied to the divine rulers, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's look at the Yellow Emperor, one of the most legendary sovereigns of ancient China. In the earliest mythological texts, the Yellow Emperor was depicted as having 4 faces.
4 literal faces on his head.
Yes, looking in all directions simultaneously. But later on, when Confucius was asked about this because people were understandably confused by the idea of a 4-faced ruler, he totally rationalized it.
He spun it.
He claimed the emperor didn't actually have 4 faces. He simply sent 4 officials out to govern the 4 directions of the empire.
That is such a brilliant, calculated political maneuver.
Right.
Confucius was building a philosophy based on social harmony, hierarchy, and civil service.
Yeah.
A god with 4 heads represents shamanic magic and chaos.
Which he didn't want.
Exactly.
Wow.
But a ruler with 4 regional governors, that represents good governance. Confucius essentially stripped the magic away to create bureaucratic order.
He took a wild supernatural image and grounded it to serve the society he was trying to build.
He did.
The politics of mythology get even more intense when you look at who wins and who loses these cosmic battles. The exhibition features Jiuge, who is often cited alongside the Pixiu as an original god of war.
Right.
But in all the historical depictions, Jiuge is always shown as incredibly ugly, almost demonic. And why? Well, it turns out it's simply because he lost the war to the Yellow Emperor.
History is written by the victors, and mythology is absolutely no different.
Yeah.
If you win the cosmic battle, you get to commission the artwork. You depict yourself as handsome, majestic, and divine.
And the loser gets the short end of the stick.
Always. If you lose, your enemies draw the pictures, and you get depicted as a hideous monster. The source material is showing us that ancient mythology was highly politicized from the very beginning.
Not all the losers are just brushed aside as ugly monsters, though. Some of them get transformed into these ultimate symbols of rebellion.
Yes, Xingqian.
Yes. The artist drew a massive piece featuring Xingqian, a warrior who fought against the Yellow Emperor. During the battle, Xingqian was literally beheaded, but he refused to stop fighting.
The determination is incredible.
The ancient description of what happens next is delightfully gory. His headless body refuses to quit, so he transforms his nipples into eyes and his belly button into a mouth.
Just so he can keep going.
Just so he can continue swinging his axe and shield. He is hailed as the ultimate symbol of unyielding courage.
It is such a visceral, unforgettable image. It speaks to the absolute resilience of the human spirit in the face of impossible defeat.
It does.
But on the flip side of that conflict, you have the entities that actually help the Yellow Emperor win. The transcript mentions Yinglong, a winged water dragon, and Hanba, a drought demon, who is described quite vividly as having eyes on the top of her head.
Right, they brought massive floods and devastating droughts to the battlefield to help the Yellow Emperor defeat his enemies.
But after the war was won, they couldn't return to heaven.
Yeah, they had expended their divine energy, or maybe they were tainted by the mortal realm, so they were stuck down here on Earth.
Wandering around.
These divine superweapons that were used to win the war just ended up staying behind, causing endless natural disasters for regular humans.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is a perfect metaphor for the unintended consequences of conflict.
How so?
Well, today's solutions often become tomorrow's disasters. You unleash a devastating power to win a war, but once the war is over, that power doesn't just neatly disappear back into the box.
It lingers.
It lingers, causing chaos and suffering for everyday people for generations. The myth might be thousands of years old, but the geopolitical lesson is entirely modern.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because artist Wei Tao doesn't just recreate the ancient past and leave it there. He drags these ancient figures kicking and screaming into the modern world.
That's the best part of the collection.
In this 365-piece collection, he has a series where he modernizes the famous 8 immortals.
He executes this with such a wonderful, sharp sense of humor. He looks at their traditional attributes, their ancient magical items, and asks, how would this translate if they were walking among us today?
The contrasts are so fun to visualize. You have Lu Dongbin, the elegant scholar, casually scrolling on a cell phone.
Naturally.
Xianggu, the female immortal, usually associated with a lotus flower, is shown loving diamonds. You have Zhang Wolao, who usually rides the donkey backwards, wearing a modern wristwatch.
And Han Xiangzi.
Yes, Han Xiangzi, traditionally depicted playing a bamboo flute, is drawn playing a classical violin instead. And my absolute favorite has to be Han Zhongli.
The golf clubs.
Yes. He is usually shown holding a magical fan that can resurrect the dead, but Wei Tao drew him listening to a portable radio while holding a set of golf clubs.
It is a brilliant artistic choice because it forces the viewer to see them not as untouchable religious icons on a pedestal, but as people.
Just regular people.
If these immortals were walking around our cities today, of course they would be checking their notifications and heading to the driving range. It grounds the divine in the mundane.
They even share our worst vices. There is a piece featuring the gods of wealth, but instead of majestically standing on clouds, handing out gold bars to the pure of heart, they're sitting around a table aggressively playing mahjong.
I love that piece.
In the artwork, one of the gods pulls a losing tile, goes completely bankrupt, and is drawn so destitute he doesn't even have his clothes left.
Yeah.
You imagine the irony.
It's great.
You're burning incense, praying for a promotion, and the god receiving the prayer has literally just lost his shirt in a gambling game.
It's incredibly ironic, but also deeply relatable.
Yeah.
By giving the gods our mundane flaws, gambling debts, vanity, distraction, the artist is making a profound statement.
Which is?
Mythology is a mirror. It's not about perfect beings in the sky dictating morality. It's a reflection of us, with all our contradictions and weaknesses.
And the artist even uses the gods to vent his own modern frustrations, right? The transcript details a hilarious behind-the-scenes look at his creative process.
So the television story.
Yeah. Wei Tao was watching television in his studio, and there were all these political pundits arguing, shouting over each other, and just generating noise on the screen. It was driving him crazy.
We've all been there.
Now, to be clear to you listening, we aren't taking any political sides here. We are just neutrally reporting how the artist handled his annoyance.
Exactly. Just sharing the process.
He got so frustrated watching the broadcast that he grabbed his pen and decided to draw Zongku.
The ghost catcher.
Right. Traditionally, Zongku is the legendary fearsome catcher of ghosts and evil spirits. But in this specific drawing, the artist painted Zongku, sweeping all those noisy, arguing political pundits into a modern garbage truck.
It's a fantastic use of art as catharsis. But more importantly, it proves that mythology is a living tool. The artist is using an ancient mythological ghost catcher to solve the very modern, everyday annoyance of a loud television broadcast. It keeps the mythology alive for you, the listener. It isn't a static piece of history. It is interactive.
That idea of interactivity actually brings us to how highly organized the ancient mythological world was. It was basically a massive bureaucracy, which makes sense given the culture that created it.
Highly structured.
Very. The exhibition outlines the different departments of divine love and fate. For instance, you have Da Siming, the older lord of fate. He's the heavy hitter in upper management. He controls lightning, the weather, and massive sweeping shifts in human destiny.
But then you have Jiao Siming, the younger lord of fate.
Right.
He is specifically categorized as a god of love. But not necessarily romantic love as we think of it today. He acts more as a protector of infants and youths.
But there's a catch.
There is. The source notes a crucial detail. While he's usually kind and gentle to the young, if he is angered, his wrath is absolutely terrifying and impossible to withstand.
It is essentially middle management in heaven. They each have their own highly specific jurisdictions, their own temperaments, and their own rules.
Exactly.
What I really loved from the exhibition notes was how the artist invites the viewer to step directly into this ancient bureaucracy. He created a massive interactive artwork based on the 100 family surnames, or Baijia Xing.
That piece is massive.
It contains over 150 surnames, meticulously written out in ancient pictograms.
And the artist explicitly states his intention for this piece in the transcript. He created it so that viewers walking through his exhibition could take out their cameras, take photos, and actually hunt for their own family names hidden within the artwork.
So they can physically stand in front of this massive ink drawing, trace the ancient pictograms, and find the exact symbol that represents their family lineage from thousands of years ago.
It's a really powerful connection.
It really is. It reminds me of another detail in the transcript mentioning how ancient people used to wear the chopped horn of the mythical Lushu horse on their bodies.
Right, for protection.
Yeah, they believed wearing this physical piece of the myth would ward off evil and ensure peace. It's all about holding on to something ancient, whether it's a physical amulet or a written surname, to feel safe. So what does this all mean?
This raises an important question about our fundamental human need for connection. The world has always been chaotic and unpredictable.
Always.
Whether it's an ancient person holding on to a piece of a mythical horse horn for protection against the unknown, or a modern person at an art gallery scanning a wall of pictograms to find their family surname, the underlying psychological drive is exactly the same.
We want to belong to something bigger.
We use these stories, these symbols, to anchor ourselves. When you find your name written in a 5,000-year-old script, you are no longer just a random person floating through the modern world. You realize you are part of a continuous epic narrative.
It connects you to the pandas that used to be feared as war gods, the ancient calligraphy typos that put toads on the moon, the headless warriors who just wouldn't quit fighting, and the gods who are somehow worse at mahjong than we are. We've covered so much ground today. We've seen how artist Wei Tao uses incredibly unforgiving dip pens and ink to prove that these ancient myths are not just dusty textbook entries to be memorized.
They are a living, breathing mirror. They reflect our deepest hopes, our silliest clerical errors, and our most frustrating daily habits. They evolve right alongside us, changing shape whenever we need them to.
As we wrap up, there's one final detail from the exhibition that really stuck with me. The artist, Wei Tao, didn't just stop at drawing these figures on paper. He actually created his own physical sculpture of the autumn god.
Oh, the 81 molds piece.
Yes. To do it, he used 81 separate molds to physically shape the myth with his own hands, literally bringing it into three-dimensional space.
Which leaves us with a fascinating thought to mull over.
Yeah.
If an artist today can physically mold a brand new representation of an ancient god, and if mythology itself is just an ongoing game of historical telephone heavily influenced by typos, political venting, and artistic choices, what are we doing right now that will become a myth?
That's a great question.
What modern mistakes, everyday objects, or mundane habits are we engaging in today that might be worshipped as magical, ancient myths by people 1,000 years in the future?
Will they dig up our cell phones and think they were magical amulets we stared into to speak with the gods?
Probably.
It is wild to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the fluid, funny, and profound world of ancient mythology. We hope it sparks some serious curiosity for you. Until next time, keep exploring.
这个刚才那一套，这个北水地专系，北水地专系，三皇五帝里面的北水地，他应该算皇帝的贤孙，第四代是，所以他接掌那个地位，中央的地位，北水地专系。河伯，他是黄河神，啊，其实他有很多故事，很多传说。他在那个九歌里面是占第8位，啊，银中君就是我们传说中的雷神，他就是最标准的雷神，银中君。他的名字叫轰龙。我曾经在那个北京大学有演讲，我问那个学生，我说。华人世界的雷神是谁？他们举手说蛇螯，啊，其实蛇螯是，西洋的那一种电影的那个漫威里面的人物，但是我们华人世界真正的雷神就是银中君。啊，这个东皇太一是第一个，九歌里面第一个，他假使把它转换过来，他就是伏羲，啊，他就是伏羲。伏羲在各个宗教里面都不一样的角色。676，这张图我花了 6个月。啊，我这张图怎么有这张图？我是从《韩非子十个篇》里面转换过来的。它里面有一段文字，就是写那个皇帝跟神龙的版权大战。啊，我当时的意思就是把全部呈现出来。天乐清角的意思，清角是一首音乐，它杀伤力很大。清角一奏，惊天地，动鬼神。这里面每一个人物都有一个代表，像这个叫巫山神女，每一个都有名字啊，都有一个独立的故事，所以这一章假使要把它讲完，2个月也讲不完。这个叫三头狸蛛，它专门看管那个昆仑神域的一个黄金树，它有点像 7-Eleven。他眼睛张开，这2个就闭着，所以他们轮流看管黄金树。啊，这个就是16夜游神，这个有一点跟道教那个抓狼主人有一点关系。这个叫做食神，啊，他叫皇后，啊，他是一个他死后化成地藏王。啊，这个是应龙，龙其实不用翅膀。翅膀是多余的，但是所有的龙只有应龙有翅膀。啊，这个是应龙，它代表水。啊，这个是汉魃，汉魃眼睛长在头上，汉魃是旱灾，啊，应龙是水灾，所以我们地下一些灾难就是这2个造成的。就是当时他帮助皇帝抓蚩尤，啊，没有上天，所以留在底下，留在我们凡间。走乱啦，造乱啦，啊，这是雷公，这个不是民俗的那个雷公，这个叫雷射雷神，啊，这个叫魁鸟，流婆山的魁鸟，啊，这个东海灵雨，啊，这个是刑天，他是中国第一战神，人家是在说中国的华人世界的第一战神就是刑天，他被断头了。他那个精魂还留在身上，把那个胸部画成眼睛，肚子肚脐画成嘴巴，继续战斗。所以陶渊明称呼他为战神，第一勇者，中国第一勇者。这个是灵雨，这种灵雨很特殊，它上岸是狼，是人，但是下海变成雨。它会化成。美人鱼会化成女生嫁给沿海的那一种农夫，那一种渔夫，他们很会编织。这个有织布，这个好像我们中国沿岸就发生在渤海。这个就是刚才讲的西河，这个是长西，太阳神、月亮神，这个是喜神，这个是应招，每一个都有一个代表。我们常讲的风神风神雨神，这个2个就是，这是风伯，这个是雨师。风伯是胶头鸟头，然后有鹿角。这个就是神龙，神龙名字叫江一起，他姓江，他手上这一只就是李氏，华人世界最早的一头枪，铲土了，这一只李氏就是长这样。啊，这个是祝龙。伏羲，东海神，这个就是当古镇，当古开始在做那个天乐清角。刚才有一个观众在问说，避荒鸟，这个就是避荒鸟，避荒鸟独角，啊，你把它说白一点就是独角鹤，啊，这是皇帝四面森严。这个是将军叫立木，现在在山东陆兆市还有那个点将台，这个将相，这个是风鹤。皇帝所有出来的全部有腾蛇、飞鸾，还有这个这个画蛇，这个就是我们讲的那个蚩尤。中国第一战神就是蚩尤，战神不一定是武装的，他因为战败所以长得很丑， 他这样子战胜就很帅了。好，这个是刚才讲的专系，哦，那边有一张图，北水地，啊，这个是西金地，这个少昊地，啊，这个就是看管那个昆仑山神社，它叫开明社，这叫西王母。当时我画这张西王母拜西王母的，他们也接受，因为在《山海经》里面，西王母就是长这样。这是服侍西王母的三青鸟，这个就是锥形永刚水神共工，这个很凶，这个撞倒那个不遮山，然后天盖破一个洞，女娲补天，就是因为他撞倒不遮山，撞破天盖。这是九婴，这上古人神，这个夸父啊，这个是魑魅魍魉，三鬼，精卫。精卫那个故事太长了，也是我们最标准的华人世界里面的10大故事系统。当时我是采取那个王大猷里面它里面的一些记载，我把它写成那个象形文字，把百家姓摆在这一张图，目的就是要让观众寻找自己的姓氏，还有它的发源地，然后用象形文字，比如说你姓李，这个每一个都有一个故事。我倒不一定说每一个我都认识啦，反正这一张就是要让观众因为我开放拍照，所以这就主要是要让观众去拍，把这个自己去寻找姓氏还有这个百家姓不止100，应该是差不多150，还有复姓，这个可以拍照，你们可以找。OK， 还有那张，这是我的雕像，这是我自己的雕像。这个当时是千古心悔，也蛮好笑的，我特讨了。还有这个 ，OK， 我不会讲英文的。这个是欧美版的，我授权的。它是用81块模子做成的秋神，秋天的神，这4大保护神其中一个。这个可以，然后旁边有那个中边的，我在九寨沟拿回来的。这个
真好精细。
这是欧洲版，这个我们现在台湾没有。OK， OK。